Good afternoon. It is May 14th, 2025, and this is Walking the Dirt Roads with Donna. It's been a while since I've been able to get a video because we've had a lot of things going on. Last week I had to make an emergency run to Little Rock, and then we had my daughter's graduation. At some point in time over the past week and a half, we had some storms. We had some other events that had to be dealt with. And yeah, so it's been a month. But it's been we've made some accomplishments on some things. So, yeah, right now I'm out here on the Young Gravelly Road on a stretch that I have not videoed yet. And so I'm just out here and, plus I'm going to go ahead and say that it's like the end of spring and we're starting to get into the summer time, which means that the temperatures are going to be on the rise. And it won't be long till we'll be pushing like 95 to 100. Humidity will be around 65 to 85%. Means the heat index is going to be 100 plus. And that means it'll be difficult for me to do what I'm doing, but I will get it done. The reason for that is because, and I may have said something previously, but back in 2004, my left lung burst and I had to have emergency surgery. And since then, it has just been real difficult. Oh, we got a vehicle coming. But anyways, since then, during the summer months, it's just really difficult for me to do stuff and what have you because of the surgery. Because when my lung burst, it burst like a balloon, and so they had to cut away, some of the ragged edges part there. So, yeah, and as you can tell, I'm already a little bit out of breath because, I think the temperature is up to about 80 something. But yeah, so anyways, it's been, and plus I also picked up my sewing machine, and so now I need to take it someplace else to have it worked on. But other than that, I think most everything is, at least on my end, on my part, I think is going relatively okay. But there are some other things that's just kind of weighing heavy on me a little bit. Like, for instance, my son is having to deal with the consequences of some not very good, very wise decisions on his part. I wish I could help him out, but I can't. And a friend of mine, her and her husband, are having to not pursue with something that they had originally planned on pursuing, and it's hard, because they were looking so forward to this item that they were wanting to purchase, but because of some paperwork or whatever, they, it's not going to happen. At least not at this point in time. And there's another friend of mine that's just, she's just having a really hard time with things. So she's just, trying to get out of certain things that she's, that has, kind of caught up with her. And then the last one is, two friends of mine that's not far from where I live. They're having to deal with some unplanned financial issues and what have you. And, I just, lift everybody up in prayer. I just, say, in the Bible where where Paul talks about, pray without ceasing. I'll be honest. When I was a young Christian, in my mind, it was like, don't do anything. Just, stop, get on your knees and pray 24/7. And it's like, how can a person do that? Because they've got work to do. They've got a house to keep up. They've got all these other things that has to be done or dealt with or, continued or whatever. So how can a person continuously be in prayer? Well, as I got older and, started, growing a bit more in my faith and in my understanding, that's when it occurred to me that, Paul's not talking about just stopping everything and focus and pray, but that prayer is in the spirit. So you can be washing dishes and still be in prayer. You can be driving down the road and still be in prayer. You can be at work and still be in prayer. So, when I tell people that I am consistently, that my spirit is consistently in prayer for them or for whatever situation, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. And I do believe, everybody has the, spirit and, the gift and the opportunity to pray. But I do believe that there are certain ones of us that are gifted with the intercessory prayer, the praying on behalf of others. And so I believe I'm, gifted with this because there have been numerous times throughout the past several years when I will be doing something and then all of a sudden I have somebody's name popped up in my head. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on with them, but I'm going to keep them in prayer. And so then, for a minute or two, I will stop what I'm doing and consciously focus on a prayer on behalf of, whoever that is. Like an example, and it's the most, notable one I can even recall. Years ago, when, me and my husband was still living in Little Rock, I was at the house. I was, in the middle of rearranging some stuff or whatever. And I suddenly had this this internal vision in my mind of my sister-in-law's face, and she was in excruciating pain. And you could see I could see the pain on her face in my mind. And, I had no clue as to what was going on. So I don't know if that was, physical pain or emotional pain or spiritual pain or whatever. Anyways, but, regardless, I stopped and I lifted her up in prayer. It wasn't until the next day that I found out that at that moment that I had that internal vision in my mind that she was actually in the ER with severe abdominal pains at that time. And so, And then there was another time when, it was like somebody's name was just consistently in my mind. And so then, and I had no way of getting in touch with them until, went to church that next week. So that next week when I saw them at church, I went up, I gave them a hug and what have you, and looked at him and his wife, and it was like, there must have been something going on last week because y'all was just consistently in my mind. And they were like, yes. And they proceeded to tell me about, some kind of issue that had been going on. So, yeah. So if anybody needs prayer, I am willing. I am more than willing. It's not just what I do because of, my faith or because of who I am. It's because that is what God has called us to do, is to pray. We are to pray for ourselves. We are to pray for others. We're to pray for our nation, and not just our nation, but other nations as well. If a person is breathing, you can still pray, and you can still pray for them, with them, anything like that. So, anyway, wow, I didn't mean to go on to a little mini, preaching session there, but whatever works. So, anyways, I've walked a pretty good distance here on the Young Gravelly Road. This stretch of the Young Gravelly Road is actually in the, I believe it is, in the Ouachita National Forest area. And we've got a really good view. Let me step over here to the gate. I believe this, I think, I could be completely wrong on this, but I think this portion of the land right here actually belongs to one of my cousins. But like I said, I could be completely wrong, but I want to show you this view right here. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in a bit here. Yeah, there we go. That is looking there on the tops, over towards the other side of the Fush Valley area. Look at that. That is beautiful. It'd be better if it wasn't so hazy. But, yeah. And the wind is blowing real good. So, it's a good day. Anyways, so, there we go. And, I, can't think of anything else that's, going on. So, yeah, if you, if you feel led to comment about, a prayer about an issue that's going on with you or whatever, just comment and say, I need prayer, and I will, pray for you. So, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good week. I don't know when my next video is going to be, because I've got some various projects that absolutely have to get done within the next few days. They're at the house, because I'm tired of looking at some of this mess, and it's got to go. It's got to go. So anyways, y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. Be safe. Have fun. Love on your family. Love on your friends. Always pray. And if you get a chance to, go find a dirt road. Y'all have fun. Till next time.